in response to Mike's question, why right now we don't have this feature yet to switch from competing with a buy box to competing with lowest price when the buy box is suppressed. The reason is, I talked to our project management team before. The reason behind this is there are multiple factors to trigger buy box suppress. If you are selling on other platform with a lower price compared to Amazon counterpart, what we heard is Amazon will suppress the buy box. That's one of the factors. But there are other factors that we don't know. So it's hard for our PM team to actually lay out all the scenarios for this factor to be triggered. Because once it can be triggered, the system will shift all the rule from competing with the buy box to competing with the lowest price. So right now, that feature request is still in the assessment stage. We're still trying to figure out how many factors that will trigger buy box suppressed.
Sure. Well, but if I understand Mike's question, he doesn't want to change the price until the buy box becomes unsuppressed. He simply wants to view the next FBA offer as his competition in that scenario.
If the buy box is suppressed, that scenario belongs to when you're competing with the buy box price.
Okay.
Is there any way to compete with the lowest price FBA? The lowest price FBA? I know that idea belongs to lowest price FBA. That belongs to the lowest price section.
Okay.
Both of actions are completely different.
Okay, so when the buy box is suppressed, BQool sees the listing as nobody won the buy box.
Yes.
And then you come to repricing settings and you are battling to win the buy box at that point.
Hold on. If you're telling, wait, let's say you're
suppressed buy box, one FBM, one FBA.
Okay.
You can tell it, ignore FBM, only compete with FBA when I'm fighting for the buy box.
If the buy box is suppressed, you actually can do that. You can just tell the system, I just want to compete with the lowest price.
Okay.
And I don't want to compete with the FBM. And then the system wouldn't care who win the buy box. The system doesn't even care whether there's a buy box within the competition. The system only care about who is the lowest price competitor.
Got it. Any other questions, guys? This is really good, Jimmy. I appreciate you taking the time to walk us through all the different scenarios that we encounter when we're trying to construct our buy box rules, because many times as sellers, it's like Alice in Wonderland. They say that you go down the rabbit hole, right? You start working on one piece of it and you get deeper and deeper in, and it feels more and more complicated, and you're not sure exactly how each scenario is going to affect the other scenarios. So I have a feeling our listeners are going to watch this video over and over again just to get the hang of all the rules.
Oh, thank you so much. By the way, yeah, not just on your end though. Constantly in our company, we're trying to figure out all the possible future scenario that could happen when it comes to a competition. So we just try to lay out all the possibilities and try to get the facts straight. So when we talk to our user, we can provide the most precise suggestions. But we haven't even finished the rule yet. That's why whenever we provide phone support, we couldn't even walk them through all the way down because it takes time. I'm very glad that you guys give me this platform so we can walk through it. So finally, we get to the buy box setting.
Good.
Huh?
I was hoping we would come back to this. Thank you.
Of course, we never forget. For the buy box setting, let's say you finally win the buy box, and then, of course, let's say this. You can disable the buy box setting though. Let's put it this way. If you disable the buy box setting, the system will still only using repricing setting to compete within the competition. So if you don't want the system to use the buy box setting, and there's a reason why later I will explain. Okay, let's just say you are able to disable the buy box setting. Within the buy box setting, the system will only use this rule when you're in the buy box and you have enabled it. The first rule is called lower and raise within. Okay, and this rule confuses people a lot. Essentially, when you are using this rule, when you're in the buy box and you use this rule, the system will check whether you are the lowest price offer in the competition or not. If you are not the lowest price offer within this competition, the system will target the lowest price offer first and lower your price by 1 cent. If the lowest price offer is $10, and the system will target that and change your price to $9.99. Cool. That's the first step. Okay, do you guys have any other questions? No, and then we will just move on.
Who is it targeting as competition? If you're already in the buy box, is that it's looking at Amazon, FBA, and FBM, the check price,
yes,
making sure you're the lowest?
Let's say when you win a buy box, but you are not the lowest. The lowest, okay, how about this? On the beginning, I don't want to compete with FBM. But when I win a buy box, I don't care. I want to compete with FBM. And then the FBM is the lowest. So when you win a buy box, you actually is not the lowest price within the competition. And then the system will check on the lowest price offer. If the lowest price is above your mean, of course. And then the system will target it and then change your price to be 1 cent below it. That's the first step. The idea of this buy box setting is to keep your price as competitive as possible in hopes that you can stay the king of the buy box as long as possible. That's the first step. So let's say you are already the lowest price offer and the one above you is FBA. And the FBA just changes price to be a little bit higher. And then the system will use raise to within. The system will adjust your price to be your competitor's price minus 1 cent. So let's say you're already the bottom, you're already the lowest price offer, and someone above you is eligible competitor, and that seller just changed its price. The system will target it and move it accordingly on the premise of you are still the lowest price in the competition. So you'll always be the lowest price.
Okay. We have another question from Mike. He wants us to explain that again. Mike, could you possibly help us? He wants to maximize his buy box time. So
so this setting keeps you always a penny below. This keeps you in the buy box as much as possible, right? Is that what it's doing?
The idea is that. The idea is
only a penny below, but always a penny below.
No. Actually, you can specify how much you want the system to go down.
Right. Whatever margin you set, it makes sure that you're not lower than you need to be, but you're always below the competition here.
I would word it in another way. The system will, for this rule only, the system will always make sure you are the lowest price offer. If you're not lowest price offer, the system will push you to become the lowest price offer. Cool?
I think so. I'm looking at Kim to see.
I get it. Does Mike get it?
Mike asks, will it make you the lowest price offer until you hit your minimum? So yes, we'll never go below your minimum, correct?
Let me think. Okay, here's another scenario. Let's say this is your minimum. The lowest price offer is actually below your minimum, and you win a buy box right here. And then the system will realize the system cannot push you to target the actual lowest price offer within the competition. The system will default to do not reprice. Because the system realizes that any further action will bring you to be lower than your minimum price. Yeah, Mike said, I want to maximize my time in the buy box until you hit min.
Well, that's what we just talked about. There's two different questions.
I see. Okay, so that's the very first rule. The first step is the system will check whether you are the lowest price offer in the competition. If you're not, the system will push you to become the lowest price. And the system will target, before the system push you, the system will target the lowest price offer and price you to be 1 cent below. And the second step is you are already the lowest price offer within one competition, and the one above you, the seller who is above you, just changing the price either to be lower or just higher. And then the system will able to target it and adjust your price accordingly on the premise of you are always the lowest price in the competition. There's another sub-scenario that I didn't cover. When adjusted price is above max price, you can just do not reprice or use max price. The system will never go above max. Next, raise my buy box price to maximize profit. Okay, this one is kind of tricky because this one will actually bring a price up. But keep in mind, if you bring a price too much up, you might have the risk to lose the buy box. So for this rule, let's say you just win a buy box, and the system will automatically look for the seller that's above you, target it, and then change your price within the percentage or the amount of value you specify over here. Let's say the one above you is $10, you're selling at $9, and you just win the buy box at $9. The system will target the $10 offer and price you to become $9.99.
Now, what if there's a lower offer that's not in the buy box? You're in the buy box. Is that the risk that lower offer will gain the buy box if you follow somebody else up?
Well, if the lower offer, the feedback rating and also the feedback count is significantly lesser than yours, I don't think you need to worry that much. But if the lower offer is seller fulfilled prime, you might use the buy box. So whenever any customer asks us for any listing, we always need to check the competitive analysis. Rule is a very general idea. We always need to refer back to the competition, and we will give you a bit more precise advice based on what we saw in the competition. So yeah, if you're within competition, everyone have astonishing record of feedback rating and feedback counts, and then your competition might be very hard to win the buy box from them. If you're another scenario will be if you're the FBA, the rest of people there are just non-feature FBM. Yeah, the floor is yours actually. You can just price as high as possible. Okay, so that is the repricing rule. Of course, they have a scenario to specify when adjusted price is above your max. You can just use max over here. And do remember, we have price change safety net over here. In case there's a price drop, because we do have the rule that will push you to become the lowest price offer within the competition. In case there's a huge, significant price drop, you're able to specify, you are able to set out a break over here. We'll only reprice you, adjust your price by a certain amount. Okay, next one. Lower my buy box price to stay competitive. This one is tricky. This one will only push you to become the lowest and stay the lowest, and that's all. Quite simple as well. This one is when you're determined, I just want to liquidate all my inventory. I don't care. I just want to push them out because I don't want the long-term storage fee. I don't want that kind of extra cost for my Amazon business. And then lots of people that will use this rule just want to push out their inventory.
Right.
Okay.
Let me say a word about the price change safety net also, because you spoke about that earlier, and you said it was one use would be for if a listing got hijacked, right? Mm-hmm. But in a retail arbitrage setting, which is what many of the people on the webinar today do, it's a much more dynamic marketplace environment. So prices are going up and down very quickly, right? And if you turn this on, I found out the hard way that if you turn this on, your prices might not respond to downward pressure quickly enough. So if you two things I would say from the user side. One, if you guys turn this on because you don't want your price to drop too fast, make sure you keep an eye on your sales and on your buy box percentages. And also, from a user side, we have learned the hard way. Kim can tell you that we need to document every change and monitor our sales and our buy box percentage after every adjustment to make sure what we're doing is a good thing to do. So that's 2 words of wisdom from hard experience.
Yes, and I don't think the safety net is necessarily bad even for retail arbitrage, but it depends a lot on how quickly you want to sell things. And for us, we want to turn things, and as long as it's within our min-max range, we don't care if it sells at a lower point. But if you're really interested in maximizing your profit, you might want to hold out for that price to come back, and that's where the safety net might be better for your model. You just have to think about your willingness to follow fluctuations in price.
It's very true, especially when you're selling, when you're buying your inventory, retail arbitrage from someplace like the Nike outlet where a big sale might be happening nationally. There may be good reasons to keep your prices from falling too quickly. Now, Mike just asked a question about the race to the bottom, as we call it in the retail arbitrage world. If we want to prevent a race to the bottom, Jimmy, would it be better to match the buy box price competitively or to lower by 1 penny? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Okay. Whether to price match or price below, right?
Right.
And you don't want to lose the profit.
Right.
I always will recommend you to set the minimum price with certain ROI and profit margins. So whenever even we push you to the minimum price, you can always sell at the profit. Sure. And whether to price match or lower by 1 cent, actually, let me think.
Well, I'd be happy to jump in too. And Kim and I, by experience from the seller side, where are we? Let me just ask. Kim's the repricing expert. Kim, where are we right now with our repricing? Are we matching?
We're matching. We don't go a penny below. Although we've done it accidentally because I didn't used to understand this rule, the buy box settings. Sure. I really appreciate the clarification here. I'm not using it right now because I didn't thoroughly understand it, but I can see that it would cause us to go a penny below when we're in the buy box.
Sure. So generally, Mike, Kim and I would recommend matching the buy box instead of going a penny below. And then he's got a follow-up question. How does this apply to the buy box setting versus buy box winner found between min and max?
So for the buy box setting is when you are in the buy box. And for buy box winner found between min and max is when you are not in the buy box and you try to compete with the buy box price. Okay, yeah. So it's true. If you just price match a buy box price, you might slow down the racing to the bottom phenomenon. But I have seen some scenario where the targeted competitor, they are also using a repricer. So if the rule they set is to keep their price as the lowest price within the competition, they will still push the price, keep going down, and we're just following all the way down. So to me, price match the buy box price that will slow down the racing to the bottom. But in the end, you might still get to the minimum price. But still, here's what I saw based on my experience, if the member of the competition is around 10 to 15, you tend to see the people, they would just keep the price high and they just want to share the buy box at a higher price. It's just like, we are here to make money. Why do we want to race to the bottom? So you tend to see that. But if you see a competition with more than 20 people, or more than 15, you see people they are rushed to the bottom. It's become a cutthroat competition. So that is why choosing a right product is very important from the get-go. If you have oversaturated competition with one product, you tend to see people do the racing to the bottom constantly. But if you have a product where you just have the seller around 10 to 15, you will see people, they just want to maintain the buy box price at a certain level. They don't want it to go down and they want just to share the buy box.
Wonderful. So Mike has another follow-up question where he says, if I want to maximize time in the buy box, should I drop by a penny? And then on buy box winner found between min and max, should I set that to to match to 0.00 when he's not in the buy box. So should he match the buy box winner when he's not in the buy box, and then drop by a penny to compete when he is in the buy box?
The next question I will ask you, Mike, is how well is your feedback count and your feedback rating?
Yeah.
100%.
Wow.
And we're doing well. Well, the next follow-up question for your feedback count, that just say choose one listing right now, and are the rest of the sellers, is your feedback count significantly higher than them, or just like right in the middle?
Yeah, so it's really going to depend on how your account stacks up, and what if your rating is is competing with Barry.
Well, I think your competitor is very, very hard to compete with.
Match, don't undercut.
Always match when you compete with Perry and Kim. Yeah, but that you said earlier that when your feedback is the same, then it starts to look at things like the total number of feedback. And I've also seen by experience that it looks at geographic distance from the buyer too. So there are a few things that repricing, in my opinion, can't control for. But once we're in the buy box, Kim and I tend to match the buy box because we're willing to take a slightly, I mean, we want a fast turn product. We want our product mix to turn quickly, but we don't want to drive prices down to the minimum more than we have to. And then we do reset our ASINs at night around 2 in the morning to go to our max price to start over again.
That's actually very smart.
You can't always avoid being part of that race to the bottom if you're matching and somebody else is consistently undercutting you, but you can avoid being part of the cause.
That's actually true. That's why I was kind of reluctant to give you suggestion whether you should price match or you should price below, because it doesn't really matter. Because if someone is constantly pricing below, you will get to the minimum price no matter what.
Yeah.
That is why choosing a right product from the very beginning is very important. If your product is overly saturated with lots of sellers, then it's more likely you will see people just constantly want to race to the product.
Somebody is going to panic and start that race.
Well,
yeah.
And the majority of the members of our rasecrets.com group, they're shoes and clothes sellers mostly. And shoes and clothes sellers tend to be a much slower and steadier market in terms of how the competition changes versus another category like groceries or toys or electronics. The competition tends to be much more fierce in those categories.
And also, the suggestion I would give when I hear my customer ask me, should I lower my minimum price just to get the buy box? I will always tell them, we live to fight another day. You know what? We're here to make money. So if someone they are eager to liquidate, or they're just eager to drop their price so low, they just want to get the buy box, I wouldn't recommend anyone to follow that trend.
Sure.
Let us sell out. We live so we can fight another day. We're here to make money.
Yeah, that's very true.
Advice.
So lower my buy box price to stay competitive. That will just push your price to the lowest price within the competition. Okay, and next one, do not change my buy box price. That means when you're in the buy box, stay there. I don't want to change until I lose my buy box. When I lose my buy box, the system will apply to repricing setting, and we'll start from there again. Until you win a buy box, when you win a buy box, the system will just apply to do not change. It will just stay there. So my personal take on this, I will always recommend as a support supervisor or just support agent, actually we are not allowed to give any kind of advice. We'll just ask you what is your expectation, and then we'll provide the corresponding settings for you. But from my take, I would just compete with the buy box price, and I want to compete with FBA, and I want to price 1 cent below until
one quick thing right here. Because As an American, this gave me fits until somebody explained it to me. When you're putting in the cents, you have to put the zero, the leading zero, before the decimal point. Americans don't always do that. We just do 0.01.
I know, right? It's so confusing. Another thing that confused me is you guys don't put numbers on your coins. That just when I was in the US, right? When I traveled to the US, you guys don't put numbers on the coin. How can you tell this coin's value, right?
And it's not about size either, because the smallest one is one of the more valuable coins.
I know, right? But
yes,
you do need to put 0 before the decimal. That would show that would be 1 cent. This doesn't make any sense to the system or to the people in the rest of the world. Okay.
Americans,
so 1 cent below, and then if I win a $5, I just want to raise my $5 price to maximum profit by 1 cent. If I want to be very cautious, if I want to stay the king of the $5 as long as possible, I would do 3%. Then over here, I want to be very aggressive. I would do like this 5%. So yeah, 5% below the $5 price. Probably I will get the $5 for sure. And then when I win the $5, I just want to remain 3% distance from the seller that's above me. That's how I will go. And then no competition, I will use max price since I am the I'm the only one in the competition. Floor is mine. And for $5 winner found below me, I will use mean. Above max, use max. No $5 winner found between me and max. Whoosh. Since I want to protect my profit, I want to choose do not reprice. And then I don't need this because I have set my minimum price correctly. And for the band setting, if I'm competing with Amazon, you know what? They're gonna win anyway. So I just take along or just price 1 cent below them. If I'm competing with FBA, I want to go very aggressively. If I'm competing with FBM, since I'm FBA, I might as well just go 3% above. And of course, I don't want to compete with back order. And so 90% above is good to me. And of course, if anyone that handling day is more than 2 days, I don't think they will win $5 anyway. So I don't want to do that. And over here, just go with same or better. And that's how would I go for my own repricing rule. Okay, so far, do you guys have any other questions?
Someone asked, is it possible to turn that off or to make the time window longer before it times out and forces you to log in again? Do you know?
You mean Zoom?
No, BQool Repricing is a timeout for your account and BQool.
Oh, actually, yeah, people ask that, but that's a way to, that's actually related to security issue. Mm-hmm. If your site leave unattended for more than 30 minutes, we will just close that. You have to relog in again. Okay. Because this site can have direct impact to your Amazon operation. Okay. If you leave unattended for more than 30 minutes, I don't think that's a good idea at all.
Is that the timeout period, 30 minutes?
30 minutes is the timeout period. And guys, BQool is directly connect to your Amazon Seller Central. Any price, any changes made on the BQool end will affect your Amazon Seller Central as well. So just don't leave your website unattended. Don't leave your account unattended more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because this is a case just like with Seller Central forced everyone last year to start using two-step authentication, and the timeout with BQool and the two-step authentication are both cases where security really does need to trump convenience. So it might be a little bit inconvenient if you're doing a lot of repricing to log in a couple times, but as your agent, if you will, or your software that you're hiring, software as a service, BQool is acting on your behalf to Amazon. And so Amazon's not liable for anything that happens. So we have to be very mindful about how we protect our BQool Repricing Central account.
I don't think we will extend the timeout period more than 30 minutes though.